Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Gregory West, and this video is a collaboration video with Kobi Mccoull. Kobi is a music producer and a singer-songwriter, and he has his own YouTube channel. You can check that out right here. I think he's got a lot of cool content where he breaks down, his process for writing songs and producing music. So be sure to check that out if you guys are interested. And you should be because you're here learning how to sing, and that stuff is related to singing too. Kobi reached out to me through email about taking some voice lessons, and we've decided to document the process. Hopefully you guys can learn vicariously from his experience and the kinds of questions that he has and just observe his journey. I plan on putting out the full recordings of our lessons, and maybe I will also kind of chop it up. You know how like Joe Rogan has like the long podcast, but then he'll also kind of like have the little clips. I might do something like that with these videos, but I don't know yet. All right, so I hope you enjoy the video, and let me know if you have any questions. Just write it in the comments below. Give the video a like if you thought it was cool, and I'll see you soon. The lessons diary.
Yeah.
Cool. Updates and cues for the next lesson. Let me just read this. Feels hard to put weight onto M1 after transition from M2, especially U and E. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's hard. Can get the notes on their own, but not when singing a run up to them. So you can like do like but then if you're trying to do a run up to that note, you can't do it.
Yeah, like if it's in, and this isn't with all of those notes, it's just sometimes like some of the notes I'm still struggling to get, but the ones that I can get, if I then try and sing them in a song, because there's tension and I've been using my vocal, I haven't prepared, like I haven't gone through the process of getting it slowly. I guess it will probably come with practice, but when I do more notes leading up to it, then when I get to that note, it falls apart because I haven't got the same coordination beforehand. So it's trying to figure out how to maintain good coordination throughout the range rather than having to prepare every note by starting from light M2 into light M1.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I do think it's a time thing. It'll get better and better. Can more easily move from M1 to M2 and back up at B5. B5? B4?
Yes.
That's B4.
Is it B4? Okay.
Yeah, wait. That's B flat 4 that you just played.
Okay, so B4, B around there. It's strange. It's like the mouth shapes that I have I think this is the case. They sort of lend themselves to a smoother transition between the two of them. But then when I'm in and around like C4, D4, like around there, it's much harder, and I'm not really sure why. It's like I found that, but only on like If I try to do it, if I try to do it on like an E or on like a much more closed vowel, it doesn't happen, and it's strange.
Yeah.
I can try and give you a demonstration if
yes, please,
if it makes sense to see whether I'm actually doing what I think I'm doing. So like
right.
Doesn't feel like I'm in M2 the whole time. It feels like there is a progression into M1.
Yeah.
And that is up there at B. But then if I try to do like a it feels like a weighted M.
Yeah.
It's not I'm not transitioning into M1. And if I try to, there's just a voice crack.
Yeah.
It's the same with the other vowels. Whereas if I do like an F, I can do the transition, but it doesn't feel
a lot better.
There's still sometimes a quiver or an unsettledness in that middle part, and I don't understand why up there it's smooth. It just feels like a more natural movement. Like I'm not confused about the anatomy or what's happening physically. It's just like, oh, I'm here and I move to there. Whereas when I'm in this range, there is that kind of muscular confusion where it's like trying to be in two places at once and not sure where it's supposed to be. And I'm trying to smooth that out somehow.
I understand. I don't know exactly why it works that way, but it's a pretty common experience
Yeah.
that
Okay.
in the low part it's more tricky, and up high it's smoother. And
Yeah.
I've liked to think about this like F is usually somewhat of a pivotal point for males, where above there it
Mhm.
feels like your M2 and your M1 get a lot smoother with one another,
Yeah.
and below there they're not as smooth with each
Yeah.
other. And A4 is another one of those areas where above A4 it feels like, I don't know, like the distinction between them gets even smaller.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I definitely feel and understand, what you're talking about. I'm not sure why it works that way.
Yeah.
Um, but it definitely seems smoother. I do think you're right that you're going into M1 when you're going up at the
On the ah.
yeah, on the up there. And the E thing, that's pretty normal. It sounds like you're doing it right. So keep trying to just go into the feeling of it being like the weighty
Yeah.
M2.
Mhm.
When you try to go from ah in M1 up there to E, what happens?
I haven't tried swapping
Okay,
between
so
vowels.
yes, so you can do, but you're here, right? Oh, you're at the B? So
Yeah.
you can do I, and then you go to the E after
Okay.
your ah. Okay, what does that feel like?
I didn't feel like I actually still felt like a weighted M2. I'll try it again and make sure I'm actually in M1 in the ah before transitioning across.
Okay.
Mm. Yeah. It felt like it was getting there, but it's not as reliable, I suppose.
Yeah, I hear that. I think that maybe the E is going to feel a bit lighter than the ah for one thing,
Okay.
and you might associate that with M2 incorrectly.
Okay.
Or maybe it is M2 at this point. It's hard to say. It doesn't
Yeah.
really matter practically. You're doing it right. It's moving in the right directions. It's going to get thicker and stronger with time.
Mhm.
So let's try it again. Let's work with the ah for a second. Can you take the ah and can you after you sort of crescendo it back to M1, then
Yeah.
can you try to put some glottal pauses where you build up a little bit more breath pressure on the pauses so
Yeah.
that you can try to make it a stronger M1. So it'll sound like like that. You can hear it's like it gets stronger from like
Each time you
I'm
transition.
yeah, every time
Okay.
I pause, it's like I'm holding my breath. And then I try to push into that same spot just a little bit harder.
Okay.
I definitely count that as a success. What did you think?
Yeah, I know that felt good.
Cool, cool.
I wasn't sure, but each time I did it, it felt like I could put more weight in it, and it was
Good.
comfortable as well. Though, like it wasn't, I didn't feel like I was having to. I was pushing, but it wasn't strenuous pushing. It was just adding weight, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Good. So, awesome. So it sounded like how you're describing. It got stronger and more metallic every time, chestier. You can describe it so many ways, but it definitely was going the right way. So now let's try from that stronger position. Like you don't have to go as far as you did here. Just do a glottal or two to feel like this is kind of solid and weighty feeling to me, and then try to go to the E. And let's see what happens.
So do the same thing again, but then transition from an A into an E.
Exactly. Like you did before.
After doing a few glottals? Okay.
Yeah. Like you're sustaining the stronger version of the ah, E, and then you close it to the E.
Yeah.
Good. How's that feel?
It actually feels okay. I just don't. I think anytime I'd gone into that range in an E, I just assumed that I was just doing like a, just putting more weight on M2, but I don't think I am, because I think it's there. So see, if I try and transition, that's something I still haven't figured out.
Yes.
How to
It's
do
hard.
without the quivering coming in.
Right. It's hard, and we got to have different ways of approaching it to try to coordinate it faster. You know, because one way is just be like, oh, this isn't working anymore, you know, so I'm getting stuck here. And it may, if you just keep doing it over time, continue to work, but it's better, I think, to just have multiple ways to try to get it to happen. Yeah. And then, you know, the progress will be faster.
Yeah.
So I think that's great. Let's try now. Same thing. Decrescendo the E after you're there instead of just ending it loud.
Okay.
Yeah, that was great.
Cool.
Try to go back now after you decrescendo. It's the same spot.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that already sounds better than in the beginning.
I think what helped me there is trusting my vocal cords whilst relaxing them. As I was trying to transition there's a rising that I feel, and I almost had to let go of that while still putting weight behind it.
Okay. What's the rising feeling?
Well,
like where's
it's not,
like
it's not a rising in my chest. It's more like I'm trying to generate the sound, keep the sound up there, because it feels like if I let the sound drop down, I'll have a voice crack.
Okay.
It's almost like if I don't know if it's my larynx, but I'm kind of visualizing that, like relaxing, so that I keep room there. And I felt that there but it's that strange thing where if I don't trust it, then I'll stay in M2. And if I only trust it a little bit, there'll be a voice crack. It's like I have to properly relax and let it happen.
Okay, cool. I mean, a lot of people say things like, just go for it, you know? And I don't know. There's a big psychological component
it's huge,
to it,
I think.
You know?
But I think doing the practices over the last week or so, doing this and just really trying to become aware of when I'm recruiting my face in the wrong way to make a sound has helped. But
good.
It's quite strong though, the like subconscious pattern of doing that when I'm making those or going to those notes. So I'm having to consciously switch that off each time I do it.
Makes sense. It's a habit. So it's like really ingrained in you, and you're just trying to create new habits.
Yeah.
You know, so it's good that you're noticing them. It's really good. All right. So let's try the whole thing again now. Where you do the and then go back
in. Okay.
Yeah.
At the end, it was getting almost tired. I don't know, but that was also partly the old muscle recruitment pattern coming back in, trying to go, no, we want to, we want to work here. And I'm like, well, you don't have to, because it feels like I'm using other muscles to do that, but it's a completely new or kind of partly unfamiliar vocal territory. So. Yeah, because it was probably a couple of months ago I first kind of discovered M1 up there in A, but I haven't really comfortably been able to like get there with any other vowels, especially if I moved into like oohs, and that's why I was saying on the sheet from last week, like V's, all the semi-occluded exercises, well, like puffy cheek, like that kind of thing, or the they're usually okay. But v was tricky for some reason. It was almost like I couldn't get the coordination when doing like a. If I tried to do like a v up there, I don't think I would manage.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, it's more closed.
Yeah.
So those SOVTE semi-occluded vocal tract exercises, they're going to cause your vocal folds to want to thin earlier in your range.
Okay.
And that's why they're so common as, you know, exercises for people that are into, you know, speech level singing, you know, stuff like Singing Success with Brett Manning and, you know, stuff like that. It's really common here in the United States and probably everywhere. It's like a I don't know, like a I don't know what the right word is. I don't want to say like a kingdom, but it's like those pyramid. It's like a pyramid thing, you know. Like I don't know. It's just SLS is seeded itself all over the place, and they really like these kind of exercises because it stops you from doing things like pulling up a lot of, you know, weight, a lot of vocal weight, a heavy, strong, thick sound. Yeah. In CVT language, being very metallic up high. That's like a no-no in speech level singing stuff. You want that thinner quality. They definitely don't want open timbre up high. So what we're doing would be like, no, you know, on an ah there, they would want, you know, not ah, but ah, ah, not ah. That's like yelling to them.
Yeah. Okay.
So, which is, let's just say, not very smart. It doesn't make a
between being their version of yelling, which is the kind of open timbre, I suppose, and the note you just sung there, where it's kind of more closed. Is it just a slightly different coordination?
Well, the vocal folds are probably stretching more on the closed one and more on the open one. And this is something that, you know, Complete Vocal Technique has done some research about, and found that they have this like idea of density in the pedagogy, where they talk about like, our density is basically when we hear it, it's supposed to be like, is the sound more filled out and like open, or is it more like held back sounding and more like thinner? And how I've interpreted this is that sound like it's almost like closer to falsetto, or does it sound like chestier and more massive? And so I even think of, if I have like here, you know, this sound is closer to falsetto. Like the difference between that, there's M2, right? There's M1. They're not that far apart, right? No. So it's to me, density relates to how close I can bring M1 to M2. I'm basically reducing the density of it. It sounds more hollowed out. So this is just talking about too, like how the sound quality is, the character of the sound. There's a thinner, more hollowed quality to it. Doesn't, you know, it sounds a bit fuller, thicker. And so CVT has that idea of density. And what they found through their research was that when you reduce the density like that, the vocal folds stretch more. And so their idea of density really relates to vocal fold stretching or laryngeal tilt, which is a thing in the voice world. And
when you increase the density, the vocal cords stretch more.
They stretch less.
Oh, they stretch less. Okay, because and that's why. And so that
I got to finish here.
Yeah.
Well, because we're talking about vowels, like open vowel to closed vowel. So what does that have to do with stretching? Well, the thing is that the way that you shape the vocal tract has an effect on how the vocal folds can vibrate. So if you have open vowels, you make it easier to have a really strong quality. That's why you don't really hear, you know, and see and witness people having really, really strong sounds with very, very closed mouths in the high part of the voice. Like you might get away with that lower, you know, like you might be able to do that, but you're not going to be able to do that up high. it just won't work. Like you don't see people doing that because it doesn't work. Every time you see people, that's my dog.
He's saying almost the same note as you did. That was D.
She's like, be quiet. That's what she's telling me. You suck. What was I saying?
That it doesn't work being up there with closed vowels.
Yeah, you're gonna have a thinner sound.
Yeah,
which makes sense. Like if I just open my mouth and I try to keep like the breath pressure the same, the support level the same from the like E to A here, like a really closed E.
Yeah.
It's like a big jump in how powerful that sound sounds, how big it sounds. And, so the vowel shaping is going to impact the behavior of the vocal folds. And I think this is really more of a thing in the high part of the voice than it is the low part of the voice.
Well, because that's another question I was going to have about when I'm doing the semi-occluded exercises. I have not too much trouble being kind of in that range. When I open out, when it's slightly lower down, it's okay, but but when I transition, say it's on that F, when I open my mouth, there's like a tilt or a switch that happens that isn't smooth, and I'm trying to work out what changes, because I've heard other vocal coaches doing it, and they literally just go from the semi-occlusion to an open mouth and nothing seems to change about the coordination.
Yeah, it might be in this particular case that you're going to like a open sound on the which is not, and the lip bubble is a closed sound. So it's almost like you're jumping from it's almost like you're jumping from to and there's going to be a bit of a transition that you'll feel going from a closed to open vowel. So that might be it. And if you did instead a more closed then maybe you wouldn't feel it as much.
Okay.
But basically the way it works is that I think, the more closed you make the vocal tract, the more your vocal folds are going to want to stretch. And that really causes instability for us. And that's why the E is harder.
Yeah.
The O's are harder, and these SOVTEs are more difficult because you haven't figured out that coordination. Like, how do I let my vocal folds stretch more in M1? It's really hard. SOVTs are actually, they're kind of like a training wheels thing where because of the pressure inside of your mouth, it makes it easier also for the vocal folds to do their job. So we're sort of using like a closed shape, but due to the nature of the SOVTE, it makes it kind of easier for us to get the coordination right.
Yeah.
And, rather than just going right for a closed vowel.
Okay. Okay. So is it something I want to progress towards developing? Is being up in that range with open timbre, but then being able to go into a more closed timbre?
Yes.
Like you were
We
doing
could try
there?
that. I mean, you're doing that when you do E, but let's try and just round the lips because that'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, the line feels blurry there though, because when I was holding that note with a closed timbre, I don't know, it didn't feel like I was in my chest voice, but it felt weighted or supported, and it's strange.
Yes. Well, I get you, and I think that's why the density is dropping, and I think the reason that it feels more like M2 is because it's literally getting closer to M2.
Yeah.
Because in M2, the like main meat of the vocal folds is not really active. And what that meat does, its function is to shorten the vocal folds. So it would kind of stop the tilting from happening. So like, let's say that it's tilting.
Yeah.
Right. That the larynx is tilting. Like, let's say it's tilting like this forward, and it's tilting, and it in falsetto it tilts. You could say like maximum. Nothing is resisting that tilt, and then you engage the meat of the vocal folds. and you go into M1, that's going to resist the tilting somewhat.
Yeah.
If you do only a little bit of that resistance, that's like very in M1, it's really close to M2. You could think of it like the difference of, here's, I'm just making this up, like, here's the tilting. How do I do it? Here's the tilting for M2. Ah, it's going to be ah. Ah, it's like slightly less. Ah, you're not moving far. So it feels really close to it. Rather when you do ah, you're moving further.
Yeah,
so it
okay.
feels more distinguishable to you.
Okay, because now for me in my range, it feels like before the so-called passaggio, from like C below, C4 below is okay. I just want to kind of keep developing the sort of, I don't know if vocal dexterity is the right word, like just the agility and accuracy in that range. And then getting to like up there is okay, but everything in between, that's the kind of area now where I feel like there's a stepping stone or like a gap in the
between F and the B.
Yeah, so between C4 and there's almost like an octave, because even once I get into like D4, even there sometimes, especially on like E's and it's strange where I can be up there and get an A or an E like I just did there with M1 and M2 and kind of transition between them, but I would struggle similarly or just as much, almost an octave below, but it's not quite, like on the D4, like like, yeah, it feels almost just as challenging, if not more challenging, to get the transition smooth there. I know if I practice it will get easier, but in this range, like F, G sharp, that kind of area, that feels like unexplored or like unreachable territory at the moment.
In the same transition area.
Yes, that's always the spot or the area that I've kind of struggled with, especially when it comes into actually singing in a song as well, because I struggle to get to a position where I can sing those notes without them having to be like pushed. Right.
Well, so yeah, I mean, of course it's going to take time. That's the easy thing to say. Yeah, so I mean, a couple things. One is time. It'll take time to stabilize it. As long as you're seeing the continual progression of improvement, that's what matters. The other thing is I wanted to talk to have you do like on the bubble. Here we are. Where then you try to open that to something. Can you just open your mouth really slowly?
Okay.
Like before we talk about the higher notes, because I want to sort of, ground that in something real for you.
Okay.
So instead of can you do like that? Like you're just allowing the lips not to vibrate anymore.
Okay. On like what kind of vowel should I open to? Just an A?
You don't even have to think about the vowel. You're just here, and you just start pulling your chin away.
Yeah.
And then it creates a vowel sound.
Okay.
Good. Do you still feel that like transition thing that you said you felt on the ah?
I didn't feel stressed.
The b to the ah, and then the b to the b. It's really like a. And if you think about it, every sovte has like a vowel inside of whatever it is.
Yeah.
V is more like a right?
Yeah.
That's sort of the vowel we can hear. Right? So there's a vowel in there anyway, and we're just. There's a vowel in there. There's something close to a vowel that we'll recognize. Some kind of sound
is close to a vowel. If you change your lips, that vowel is being created.
Yeah, or your tongue. So we could do like think E inside of the sovte instead of So like, now it sounds like I'm doing V. If I open it, it's a V now.
Yeah. Okay. So do the same again.
So it's the sorry. Yeah, the and then so you're comparing them.
So I need to go up an octave.
Yes. Don't be lazy like me. All right. So yeah, here on this note.
Well, I don't want to break into M2 though.
No, you want to go to the ah, the first thing you showed me. Make it a bigger jump. Like initially you were doing like something like it was that was kind of like what you were doing, like a jump. So do that the same way.
Do a jump now?
Yeah. That's what you did before. And now you're doing like you're like slowly going to the ah. Jump to the ah like you did before.
Okay.
Now compare that to the
Strange. Yeah, it's not something I think I've been able to do with my voice before without needing to go and like push weight behind it.
It's a good sign. And a lot of times we make progress, you know, and we don't realize the coordination has changed and that we have a new ability that we've sort of unlocked, just kind of waiting in the shadows. And that's why I really think switching and changing and exploring is very important. All right. What was I saying? I was saying something.
You were on a roll.
I was on
as
a little, I was ranting.
I had just done the and then I'd said that it was something I hadn't been able to do before, and you were saying,
oh, that's right. You're right. Yes. Things will change. You won't realize that they'll change as you're improving and making progress. And that's why I think exploration and switching is really, really important to continue to grow. I don't believe in like doing the same thing over and over again. And just staying there. And like some people, they say like, oh, you build this foundation. It's like very like you build a strong foundation and then you build upon it. But I think that doesn't make any sense cognitively, like with how we learn too, because it's just wrong. It's like one of those wives' tales where it's like, oh, you want to like, if you do it right, you know, like the scale, if you do the scale right. Good. Now do it 20 times over again and do it right again. And then you'll build it. And like, that's wrong. Like cognitive science, you know, the area that is concerned with how we learn and retain information does not support that is a good way to practice. We want to like switch, and after we do something right a couple of times, really want to try to forget it, ironically, and then have to remember it again
from another angle.
Exactly. Yeah, well, and I think that's a really good idea, is to try to arrive from another angle, because then you really start to build an understanding of something. It's like looking at like an object from one angle, and then you like totally switch the angle and you look at it from another way. And this just gives you more ways to understand your voice and to create different sounds. Like, oh, I could come at it like this. Oh, I could come at it like this. And I see how this is different from this. And it really just makes you understand something in a more complete way, which I just think makes it more reliable for you, and it's more fun. I get bored.
That's true. Well, I think it's cool trying to stay in beginner mode, like pretty much always. It seems like a surefire path to actual mastery rather than just becoming like a vocal one-trick pony.
Yeah. So let's do higher now. So let's go to G. Same thing. The lip bubble into the closed vowel, and then you can open the vowel.
Okay. See, that feels like it's M2. I'll try and
I think it is at the very end. I don't think the vowel is M2.
Okay.
But let's try. So then decrescendo from there.
Okay.
Try to make it weaker.
Yeah, because if I try and keep some sort of support or weight behind it, it kind of gets stuck.
I don't think that's M2. I think that one was M1. The one before that was M2.
Okay.
You need more energy. If you do it too light, it will be M2.
It'll just yeah.
No matter.
Yeah, that's where it starts getting confused. Like if I want to go from being there and then put weight behind it, I think
don't put weight behind the bubble. Whatever you do on the bubble, just open the mouth.
Put weight after it. That's what I mean. So when I open from the bubble and then try and
don't put any weight.
Okay.
Yeah, don't put any weight. Just leave whatever you have on the bubble there. Instead of like trying to throttle it and add something. There you go. Again. Nice.
That's cool.
Is that that is cool.
It felt nice actually being able to hang around there, because usually if I'd go up to there, I'd be like enough to like push it. And I'd have a limited window.
Yes.
Being there, and I'd have to come away or.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think this is great. Very good signs. You can definitely use the SOVTEs this way to sort of get the coordination, then jump into some kind of a vowel. I think they're a good like set, like a toolbox. You know, when you have like, I got my screwdrivers, then you go in another like, you know, area of the toolbox, like those big red ones. I don't know. That's what we have in the US, these big red ones.
No,
and then you like,
some here.
Yeah, then you go to another drawer and it's like, oh, here's my wrenches. You know what I'm saying? Like all the SLS exercises are like in a cabinet that you can just pull out and be like, oh, I can use these to try to like do this for this function. Yeah. And really that's how I look at voice training. It's really just that. Like, what are we looking to create and develop? And there's going to be different tools that are going to work for different things, and we want to just try going at it from different angles with these different tools.
That's great. I really appreciate that actually, because I have, to be honest, come from that background of, okay, let's take a C major scale and go and then and just keep doing that, and like I think I've done enough of that.
Yeah.
It's
I think
reached its maximum benefit a long time ago, I think.
Yeah. I think there's a value to the consistency, you know, of it, and building something that feels very, very reliable. And that only does come from consistent repetition. Yeah. But I think that it's definitely a slower way. And, you know, it doesn't work for me because I'm impatient and I want to continue having fun. And so it's hard for me to use an approach like that of just like, you know, and it's not really problem solving. It's more like just keep doing the thing that works over and over again. And when you encounter the problem, go back. So I prefer to make it a bit more challenging than that. You know, let's problem solve. How do we make this better? You know, and it's like constantly pushing. I don't know if I've told you this before, but it's like with the vocal training, there's this like area of success. Everybody has an area of success, and then like a massive area of failure of all these things I suck at. And if I try these things, it doesn't work. So it's like success. This is what makes it work. This is what makes it fail. And we start turning that into like this. Yeah. All of it is success. And it's kind of hard to fail with your voice. But here's the thing. It's not just like this line is really like a gray zone between like success and the failure. Yeah. And there's a lot of crossover. And what you should be doing with voice training is spending all of your time, most of your time here. Yeah. I think.
Tethering between from one to the other.
Yeah, sort of straddling the line. I think that's where you get the most progress is challenging yourself where you are going to fail many times. But you're also going to get successful attempts and realize why you are failing and why you aren't, you know?
I think it's helpful to understand that that's what I'm doing, because there are a lot of times when I think I'm exploring that realm between failure and success, but then if I'm there often enough and not doing it effectively or not approaching it effectively, I then just think, oh, I can't sing.
Yeah.
So I need to go back and do something else that's more simple, or just remind myself that, like, no, I can actually sing and do have an area of success, but I'm trying to expand or get used to other types of singing. And I wonder how similar it is for other artists who you hear who have done like a great job and they've got really successful songs, for example, but then you wonder how well that would translate if they tried to sing in the style of another artist, because a lot of the times they just have their style.
I think that what most people use to sort of, console their mind about that and not go into a pit of despair is that they chalk it up to voice type, basically. Like, I don't have that. That's not my voice.
What we were talking about before with baritones, tenors, and
exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of, I have this kind of a voice, and like they've got that kind of a voice, and that's why it doesn't work for me. And so it that really strips them of the responsibility, but also of the pain that comes with saying, like, damn, like I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that, and if I try, I just keep failing epically. Yeah. So, I think it depends on the artist. Maybe some are just like, I don't know how to do what he does, but I just do this and I'm cool with doing what I do well, what I do well. And I'm sure others have a bit of the, oh, he just has that kind of a voice, because that's pervasive everywhere.
Just talented.
Exactly. That's pervasive everywhere. I mean, that's like even uneducated people about singing will say, that's like the common idea is like, oh, it's just talent. Like they just have that kind of a voice, and voice teachers support that. So where literally, like, most everywhere that you look, everybody is kind of saying like, oh no, they just kind of like, they have that kind of a voice. And if you're the singer and you want to expand, like, it's like everywhere you look is kind of telling you that. So you're like, all right, I guess it's got to be true.
I'll stay in my box then.
Yeah, exactly. And, because professional singers that are really good aren't experts about teaching singing. They're just experts at like what they're doing with their voice. And so a lot of times they're like basically saying, I'm not the expert about singing. Yeah. I don't know why what I do works, but it works for me. Yeah. And they're not, making claims about singing, about what's healthy and stuff like that. I can't tell you how many times really good singers have been like I slayed something, and they'll be like, I don't know if that was right. I'm like, you don't know if that's right. You just killed it. I'm like, did it feel? Yeah. I'm like, did it feel good? They're like, yeah. I'm like, like we have such a backwards a sense of authority about who gets to make the authority, the rules about singing. The rules about singing, and it should be the singers. Like, so for me, it's just vocal technique and stuff like that. Is it vocal technique is a means to an end to me. Yeah, and this is actually, a lot of people would disagree with this, in that I just think that vocal technique is the things you're doing that are resulting in your sound. Yeah. And that's it. And like, so I don't say that vocal technique has to be healthy to be good vocal technique. I just think that it's the tools that you're using to do what it is that you want to do. And if you are making a sound that hurts, but you want that artistically, like, maybe you want the pain. I don't know. Like, there's people that are like that, I'm not one of them, but like, if you like the pain and that's like the art to you, then I'm not going to say that you have bad vocal technique if you're deliberately constructing that in a way that you want to.
Well, so I remember you saying in a video like that this helped me as well in understanding the difference between, instead of calling it like good technique and bad technique, it's just like different coordination, and certain coordinations will give a certain tone or sound. And if you enjoy that sound, then it's good coordination.
Yes, exactly. And I literally just leave it at that. But I would say healthy is an adjective. It is a quality that good technique could have, but not necessary to good technique. Yeah. And, I'm very careful about how I define it, because a lot of people will say, that like a lot of teachers will, and singers too, they'll say like, oh, it's not good technique. Like it's because it's not healthy. And then they have to define what healthy is. Yeah. And, for me, healthy is just, if it doesn't hurt you and you don't feel pain, then it's healthy. Yeah. That's it. If it's not causing like function loss, like, oh, 20 minutes after doing that, I have no falsetto. Yeah, that's probably not healthy because you're causing a lot of inflammation to the vocal folds,
Yeah.
and it's not functional for you. But if we look at the way that people use their bodies, athletes use their bodies at really high levels, it's like, they're doing, they're pushing their bodies.
Yeah. Well, this
to
is one of the
extreme
other things I was
limits.
trying to figure out, because I was like, what should I be expecting of my experience when I'm singing in a certain way, and to like, because there are certain ways of singing that I can do, and I think the way that it sounds is good. It's just I can't do it for that long, and I obviously think if I build up resilience and vocal strength and so on, like the muscular endurance of the chords, then I think it will help in that respect. But it's still only something I think I could manage to do for a while. And I see singers who are on tour who have like a strong, powerful voice. They have to like not speak at all for the next day in order to be able to have that ability. But it's like doing some sort of weightlifting where like, because I do hear regularly that singing, you should just be able to sing endlessly. But if someone said, "Oh, you should just be able to go and lift weights in the gym endlessly," but like, well, no, that's it's not going to work.
It literally doesn't make any sense at all that you should be able to sing endlessly. There's only so much voice usage you're going to get.
Yeah.
If you have efficiency, you're going to stretch that time
to longer. Okay.
to longer.
Makes more sense than striving for being able to just sing
endlessly. Yeah. And the thing is, like, maybe we're doing inefficient things, but that's fine. And I don't want to say that those coordinations are bad or that they're unhealthy. It's the healthy argument is what people that want everybody to sound like opera singers say, because this is what's healthy. And if you don't do that, it's not healthy. And it's like, that doesn't sound good for my genre, for what I want. And so that's why I'm really careful to construct the priority list, that technique is a means to an end.
Yeah.
And, we're going to have good technique means that it's serving you, basically. Not that it's healthy, that it's serving you. And if healthy is part of what you want, then, your technique is bad if you're if it's not healthy. And I think for most people, they do want their voice to feel good, and for it to be healthy. But
I'm in that camp. I think that's kind of what I'd like to aim for. But I also know that like it's nice when you're, especially if you're doing a performance, if you put a bit of emotion or rasp or something like that in it. And obviously there are probably more sustainable ways to add distortion, but sometimes sometimes not. So sometimes not, and sometimes it's emotional and it's artistic, and you just want to you don't care about blowing your voice out, and you're not thinking about that, and like that's okay to me. As long as what you're doing is sustainable and you don't injure yourself. And if you did it, then you took like some time off to rest, and you're like, it was worth it for this album, then like, okay, cool. Like, I basically don't think that's worse. But anyway, let's stop talking and let's sing. we were doing really well.
We were doing so well. Yeah, we did the sovte thing. Let's go one more note with it higher and see how that works. Let's go to the A. And then let's try without the sovte way, because that's just, that's the sovtes, and then going to the sound, keeping it closed. That's more this SLS tool set. Let's try something else after we do one more. Very nice. Very, very nice. Good. Cool. Awesome. Thanks. So now let's just go for the vowels. Yeah. So, actually, let's do the V, because you said that was hard. Yeah, so let's see how that's going. So we can do, let me hear. It can be slower than that. Okay. Can you keep it a bit more legato, so not. It's still staircasey, like.
Okay. So you want more of a slide?
Yes. Good.
My chin like shaking. I don't know. It's just I'm not used to doing the for that long.
Let's try just sliding the octave. Okay. Okay, so you're doing like this when you go up to the top note. Yeah, so raise your eyebrows. Think of like like a shock or something to increase the energy, but like directing the energy in a different way instead of like this. And I think maybe that tenses these muscles. Like if I do this, it makes my chin feel a little stiffer too.
To constrict everything when I'm doing that with my lips. That's probably part of it.
Good. It sounds easier.
Yeah, it was easier.
On the
it made a big difference.
Okay. Good. And you can also think about the flow of air. So like and keeping that consistent, just like just moving the air. And then, you just go up and down. And instead of like, I don't know, the stress of worrying. Try one more time. Good. And something else I like to do is I like to just do like little revs, like a motorcycle. And I like to, as I do this, not think about where the pitch is going at all. It's like an inflection. So you just like, you're not really thinking about where that's going. You're just thinking about the move. And so I like to do this and stay relaxed and just think about, I'm just revving, I'm going higher, but I'm not really thinking of changing much. Okay.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Okay.
Sounds good. How's it feel?
Yeah. No, that feels much nicer.
That was like to an A too, I think.
Yeah.
Nice. It's so much less effortful, and actually the V sounds a lot more stable.
Yeah.
And good. Okay. So I think this is in a good spot, the V. How's your zzz going? It sounds nice. It
doesn't feel too difficult. I think it is. It probably just was that by doing with my lips, I was just immediately constricting it rather than keeping it light.
Okay, cool. So let's go to something else now. So let's just check in with the. Let's try this. Can you do just vocal fry?
Yep.
Nice. So then from there, you're just going to kind of jump to chest. So you just you play around with where you put the note. Good. Go higher.
From fry to higher?
Yes. So instead of like, just keep going.
Okay.
Yeah, and you just let your voice kind of do what it wants to do, keeping it like you're not really trying to. Let's try this. So, do that.
Keep it in fry all the way up.
Yeah, yeah.
That's interesting. Yes. There's that.
Yeah. That's almost like more athletic, right? It's different. We're trying to like let go. We're not trying to like drag that creaky thing up. We're not really trying to do that. It's like we're kind of letting it go. And so we just like, it's really tensed for the fry. Very solid closure, we could say, right? And then we kind of relax that a bit. Yeah, that's good. Just plugging my computer in. So, I like this because the fry is going to make sure that the vocal folds are closing nicely, and that you're not getting breathiness. And then it's like we try to jump out of that spot to keep it with us.
Yeah.
We're not trying to make it super tense and carry that with us. It's just kind of like a reset. And if we mess up when we're going higher, it's like boom and back to the closure.
Back to the closure,
yeah, messing up would be like you go breathy or it gets husky and miscoordinated.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, try it again. Try to jump it rather than slide. Like, that's like very, the whole time. Try to jump. It's like inflecting. Not to the note.
Yeah, okay.
Good. Let's try it in falsetto. So instead of in M1, yeah. How's that feel?
It felt strange, like thinking about that transition or coordination, because I don't think I've ever tried being right down in a fry straight up to but so I can feel the transition.
Yeah.
I can feel the transition, but it didn't feel like a break, like a or anything like that. It still felt like a natural transition.
It sounded like it too. And what I like about it too is like, when you're feeling like your voice is very disjointed, and you're getting that, it's like really feeling broken apart. I like that this makes it feel like something is making it unified and smooth. And you can really tell when you get this, it's almost, it just jumps so cleanly from one to the next. It's not like, and you feel like cracks and pops. It was happening to me yesterday after the whole day of teaching. I was really tired and I was, I had some inflammation. So that was not working well. And I was doing it a few times and then it was like, now it's working better, and then it started to coordinate. So it was like janky at first. And then it's like, okay, that's where it feels easy. Yeah. So now let's try to marry the M1 to the M2 so we could start in M2. And instead of carrying M2 higher, just let it go to, instead of carrying M1 higher, let it go to M2. So we can do,
okay.
nice. Now after doing that, let's try M1 and M2 without the creaking. So we just do ah. Very nice. Very, very nice. Yeah. And so, I don't, maybe if this is like going in the video where I'm doing maybe that doesn't sound like M2. I don't really know, because the feelings are very confusing to say if it's M1 or M2.
I thought that when I heard it, I was like, it's a strong M2.
So I just
mean, because that's probably where the categorization becomes a limiting.
Yes. Yes. It starts to break down slightly when you're really trying to pinpoint your sensation to what the sound is. And I'll just defer to the sound. So if I listen back to it, I'm like, oh, okay, wait, that was M1, not M2. And I have to be really careful. I can't really hear super well with the headphones on. So if I take one out, I'll probably be like, oh, okay. I just want a disclaimer that if people are like, that doesn't sound like M2, it's because the better you coordinate your voice, the more confusing
the less
it gets.
a clear line is between them.
The less clear the distinction becomes between the two of them. And so maybe I was doing some of them in M1, but it felt like M2.
Yeah.
So just to be clear about it. Yeah. Okay. And we kind of want to move towards that
too. Yeah. Because it means that if I've been practicing and I'm like, I don't know whether I'm in M1 or M2, it's probably a good thing.
It's probably a good thing. Yeah. It's a good problem to have. Let's put it that way. Not so much as a vocal coach, but as a singer, it's good. Yes. So sometimes I make the demo and I'm like, oh crap, wait. They're like, I get the puzzled look and I'm like, oh, that probably sounded not how I meant it to.
Yeah.
So we want maybe that's a little bit more clear. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. How's that feel?
Good. Yeah, it's nice. The slides are definitely feeling more and more transparent in terms of the transition. I guess the thing that I struggle with now though is translating that skill into actually like singing a song, even if it's kind of a simple song. Like there's certain sections of a song I'll get into, and I'm like, I feel like I'm coordinating my voice in an uncomfortable way to get the notes, and even if it's lower down, in order to start putting weight behind them, or it's just what I'm used to, like a habitual way of singing songs I've sung for a long time. Like I put a note in the document of one of the songs I was singing along to, and there's a specific part where I say, it's in La Vie en Rose, and it says,
I see it.
Turn into love songs. So that coordinate that word.
Show me.
Turn into, like trying to sing turn into at the D. Turn, it just doesn't feel like, unless I go turn, but then when I'm doing that, I'm putting like it feels like a chest
extra stress.
Trying to figure out how to sing that. Turn into. I mean, it felt actually okay there, but
I thought that was good. Yeah,
that's probably a byproduct of everything we've done over the last hour or so. But
probably
it's there isn't consistency there yet.
Yeah. It will come, but let's try using some of the tools just to sort of show how it would translate. So let's use the lip bubble.
Well, let me double check what the note actually is. Whether it's
a D.
Well, that was.
Oh! I see what you're saying. I'll be right back then.
Yeah. Turn into love songs. That's that part of the. And ideally, I'd be able to go love songs and just stay in M1.
Yep.
But again, that shouldn't be too bad because
it's like, not. It's gonna come very soon. Let's try it on the whole melody. Let's try it. Is that?
Hey, it goes.
Is that right? Right? Oh, am I wrong? Is it F sharp?
F sharp, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Turn in. So,
not bad. It sounds pretty good. Let's try. No, wait, correct that one.
Okay.
So it's not, when you feel like it got hard, use the tool to make it easy.
Okay.
Yes. Good. This is better. Now the ahs by themselves. Trying to find that same spot of like, oh, that was kind of easy and light. Good. How's that feel?
Yeah, it feels. I mean, it feels much better. It just feels new, so it doesn't feel confident yet, but it feels It feels much easier rather than like that's usually how I would do that, or go into turn into love songs.
I get you, and I think that we need to spend some time in the future. We've talked a lot about switching from M1 to M2, training to light M1 and building the voice this way. But I really strongly believe that it's necessary to build your voice heavy in the bottom and to understand how do you carry that kind of a quality into the high range without straining. And so like, I'm not of the camp that is like just light and then learn to add the weight to that and approach everything that way. I like doing that for certain sets of coordinations that we want to develop. But it is very important that you feel confident in just smashing the notes powerfully and feeling confident that it won't strain you. And understanding how to use that part of your voice. Like, I just don't want to leave stones uncovered. So we definitely are going to have to talk about that in the future and work on what are the strategies to coordinate the heavier, louder, sounds.
Like bringing weight up without it becoming stressful.
Yeah, feeling like, man, this is stressful and not comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, now try to go for the words. Just aiming for that feeling right after you do it. It's like, it's like clay or memory foam. You kind of like impress your voice into a certain way, shape it, and then it'll hopefully retain that. You want to like go for that same feeling again. So if you want, do the ahs again.
And then that's what I was going to say. I'll probably do the ah again to get me there and then go.
Good. And if that wasn't good, I was going to say, if that's not as good as it was last time, then use the and just redo the process.
Okay. I mean, it felt okay.
All right, then we'll move on. So now I'll try the words.
Yeah. Turn into love. Yeah, that's the transition or the switch from to turn into love songs.
Yeah, use the same feeling. Like, don't try to go for the old feeling. Turn into. It's the new feeling.
Yeah. Okay. Turn into love songs.
A lot better. Try again.
Turn into love songs.
Not bad. So let's go back to the ah. We need to find more energy. And actually, let's try the brrr now instead. So yeah, I just don't want us to go flat. Good. Give it that effortless feeling. So let's go to the revving. Yeah. Good. Okay. Let's try on a v. The revving first.
Yeah. With my eyebrows up.
Mhm. That sounds nice. How's it
Okay.
feel?
Yeah, felt good.
Okay, so now. How does that feel?
Fine, apart from the highest note.
Okay,
There's a bit
so
of-
let's try to segue from the revving into the melody
Yeah.
a bit more. So we can do
Okay.
like that. Any better or same as
Yeah,
last
no,
time?
it felt better. There was still a hesitancy, but then I relaxed into it, and it was like, oh, it's okay.
Okay, good. Try it
yeah.
again. Yeah, you gotta fix that. So it's a lot of effort in your eyebrows.
Yeah.
Okay.
Turn into love songs.
It does seem better.
Yeah.
So try this by itself. Just that. You're flat. I think you're a bit flat. Make the jump
Yeah.
all the way like you're stretching to
Not
that
sliding.
point immediately, not sliding. So not that's like building the anxiety. You know.
Yeah.
For
That's what
the
it feels like. I'm like ramping into the.
right. So we want you're just jumping there.
Going straight there. Okay.
Like you're already there as soon as you're making the sound, basically. Nice. And then you good. And then try with less effort. Make it lighter. Good.
Okay.
Good. Good. And now try love there. Just try to get it without the creaking. Just jump to love. Where are we? Yeah. Love. Jump right there.
Love songs.
How's that feel?
Yeah, feels okay. I don't feel
Okay.
like I'm having to, like, before I would be going love and like putting weight behind it together. So
Yeah.
love. What I'm not sure of is like, well, it's the same experience again where my lips will start shaking, or I'm trying to create the sound with my mouth when I need to keep not worry about my mouth too much and just keep relaxed. So
And go. Think of it like a sigh.
Yeah.
It's got this ease, this effortlessness to it. That's good. Good. Aim for that feeling when you do the
Yeah.
turn into love songs.
Turn into love songs.
I actually think this is better.
Yeah.
Even though you're doing it lighter than what we're aiming for,
Yeah.
the blend is sounding better.
I
So
think at the moment, if I try and put any more weight on it, so there's such a strong pull towards going to the previous coordination that I'm used to doing. So
mhm.
turn into love song, turn into love songs.
Good. It's pretty good. It'll keep getting better and better. Songs are hard. The words are hard because they present these challenges that make it difficult for us to find this, like, that felt good, like, and to use our little tricks,
Yeah, to stay there without getting pushed out.
Yes, we have to keep growing the success.
Yes,
success
because
spot.
the into, like, turn into, it seems like the kind of thing I can do, but not if I had to, like, stay there. So, like, turn into love song. It's getting better. Like, it feels like I'm able to actually have another option now. It's just an unstable one at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll keep getting better. All right, cool. So do you have any questions or anything?
I guess just focus points for next week. I usually just take a note of practice points, just the things to focus on. What I'll do, though, to save you time, is I won't bother writing them down. If you just mention anything you think it would be worth focusing on, and I'll also go back through the video and watch it and just take a note of the things that we did and just practice those, because I think there were lots of, like, I think we actually did a good job despite there being a few moments of talking. Like, there were there was a lot more like actual singing and
right.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think so too. Yeah. I think just think about the the problems that you had during this last week and the things that we talked about as like the solutions to those problems.
Yeah.
And like implementing them.
Yeah.
And like the new exercises that we like introduced, we use them, implement them into trying to, make it better and better, but just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Basically.
And when it comes to practicing full songs, like, do you think it's still worth trying to sing songs from start to finish, or really just focus at the moment on breaking them down and doing little bits and stuff like that? Because, like, that song, for example, I can sing like from start to finish, but then when it comes to those moments, because I'm just doing it in the song, I there's no time to go back and do it again. But I also want to continue practicing songs from start to finish, for the sake of...
I think that's still something you should be doing. Okay. Practicing songs from start to finish. And, you'll see over time how that improves, like from start to finish, from what you're doing. Spend some time doing that, but, of course, break down those sections. Like, I really struggle with this part. It's like, okay, so you're going to break that part down and a couple times. And it's like, this is what I want. And then if you go to sing the song, and it depends what order you do it. Maybe you sing the song through like 3 times. You break down the parts you're going to struggle with in the beginning to sort of give yourself a refresher. Like, that's how I do this spot.
And then go through and try and do it as it's going through the song.
Yeah. And then, and I would say like just jump to the section, like for your initial thing, jump to that section, practice that, and then just jump to those hard parts, practice them a few times, then try to do the whole song through.
Yeah. Okay.
And then after that, then you can go back and try to break it down again, work on it a little bit, and just sort of repeat that process.
Yeah.
And just really focusing in on those specific moments, on those specific chunks. Okay. I'd say one of the main points of focus is like start to not stress about when you go into the upper range.
Yeah.
Like really focus on like no eyebrows, no panic. Let the pitch go up there. Just let it move. Yeah.
But I guess that means, because this is the thing I think I concern myself with, and I'm sure it's probably relatively similar for other people, is the idea of always trying to sound good. Where actually I think and that's where the stress comes from, because it's like, oh, right, I better get this right. And it's contradictory because it leads to me not coordinating well. So, but it's almost like in order to relax, I have to let go of the fact that if I miss it, it doesn't matter. Or like if I relax and go for a section and I still don't coordinate it right, it doesn't matter. I think I'm trying to work that groove out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It makes sense. And it's a lot of it is psychological. Yeah. And like just giving into this carefree attitude of I'm just going up, and you just do it, Yeah. And where it doesn't stress you out and you start to build into trust that your voice will just kind of be there.
Yeah.
Without you squeezing it.
Yeah.
It's comfort. Like there's something really reliable about the sense of control of squeezing your voice.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, it's going to be there because you're like, it's like grabbing, it's like your dog's on the leash.
Yeah.
You can feel him rather than like he's off the leash.
Yeah.
You know, but if you train the dog right, okay,
Yeah.
it'll come. They'll come when you call them.
Yeah.
So it's like that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So, all right. That's like,
All right.
and it's a hard thing to focus on, but I think it's the most important.
Yeah.
Getting that sense of, okay, just let go, just trust it, let it just kind of come out and coordinating your, and it may fail several times. And then you may be like, oh, whoa, I did that one. It felt so easy. And, you know, I wasn't like stressed about it. And you start to just grow that moment.
Yeah.
Make it bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So that happens all
in
the
these
time.
sessions. There have already been those moments where I'm like, oh, suddenly
Exactly.
new possibility. And that's
Yes.
great.
That's the point and the value of voice lessons, I think, in general, is that so that you can have those experiences and be like, oh, okay, that's what I'm searching for, looking for. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. All right, cool.
Great. Yeah. Well, you're a star, Gregory. Thank you.
Thank you. I know.
And,
I'm just kidding. All right.
and,
Thanks, Kobi.